Let's get right into this. We're unpacking a really dense forensic audit on something called Protocol 777. It alleges a multi-decade global extraction framework. For our deep dive today, we're zeroing in on the climax, what the audit calls the system halt. We're talking about a total intentional shutdown of all global electrical and financial liquidity. This isn't just a crash, it's an erasure of debt.
And to frame this for you, the sources call it a convergent operational network, and that term is critical here. It means they're claiming three, completely separate threads, pre-war Nazi capital, the Belgian drug company Janssen Pharmaceutica, and advanced high-energy physics are not coincidences.
They're a single strategy.
Exactly. One interlocking plan designed to trigger a massive civilization-level EMP event.
That's a staggering claim. Okay, let's trace the blueprint. Where does it start? The historical foundation. The audit alleges Protocol 777 began way back in the 1930s. Nazi agents like an operative named Kurt Wilhelm Schmidt infiltrating New Zealand.
Right. Through networks like the German club, Auckland. But the goal wasn't just simple espionage. It was about establishing what they called green books.
Legitimate business fronts. Things like Empire Tongue oil products.
Precisely. And what's fascinating is the strategy. They needed a zone of pure financial chaos to hide in. The audit claims they exploited the economic collapse after the 1931 Napier earthquake.
So they used that disaster to mask these huge capital transfers out of Europe.
They were building their entire extraction template right under everyone's noses, disguised as reconstruction.
So once that capital was laundered, the next step, according to the audit, was creating a kind of corporate ghost. The audit calls it corporate backcasting.
Yes, specifically by Janssen Pharmaceutica. They allege Janssen's official founding date, 1953, is a fabrication. It's meant to hide its real origin in 1934 as a company called NV Product and Richter.
Okay, so how does the backcasting part work?
Well, here's where it gets wild. The audit claims Janssen's famous manufacturing plant in Giel, Belgium. They don't exist, not in the way they say. Instead, their corporate history was literally backcast from three very real New Zealand fishing vessels.
Wait, fishing vessels? Seriously?
Yes, the Janko Futurist and the three. They belong to the Jensen family, who were based right there in Napier.
So the whole pharmaceutical empire's origin story was stolen from a fishing fleet just based on a phonetic similarity. Jensen to Janssen.
That's the allegation. It gave them a clean physical history they could claim. And, when New Zealand brought in the quota management system in the 80s, it gave them the perfect excuse to liquidate those maritime assets and fund their global expansion.
The legal cunning there is just astounding.
Absolutely. And that corporate vessel, now global and legitimate, allegedly leads us right to the trigger for the system halt. The audit pinpoints it to January 2026.
Let's jump to that. The trigger. It relies on two things converging. First, CERN. The Large Hadron Collider is supposedly transitioned into a liquidator phase.
Right. The claim is they're weaponizing the LHC's niobium-tin superconducting magnets. They modulate the energy in a very specific 998-second resonant loop.
And that number is significant.
The audit identifies it as the round-trip signal time between the Earth and the Sun. The goal is to artificially pump the solar magnetosphere.
So they're turning our own sun into a directed energy weapon. And the target for this solar blast is an interstellar object, 3IA Talis.
Comet C-2025N1, to be specific. The sources claim its complex C7 jet configuration acts like a hypervelocity plasma dynamo.
And when the solar flare hits it,
It triggers a directed plasma tail disconnection event. A blast of plasma aimed squarely at Earth, designed to wipe volatile banking memory, nullify global debt.
incredible. But what about the escape plan, the sanctuary? Where do they go to ride this out?
It all loops right back to the beginning, back to Napier. The extraction hub is the Uhuru precinct, protected by, incredibly complex legal firewalls.
Yeah.
Shell companies run by figures like Peter Twigg.
But what about physical protection from the EMP itself?
The audit calls it the Peturnia Shield.
Okay, we need to ground that a little for the listener.
The claim is they use infrasonic stimulation on a biological entity, something they call the Kraken, living in the nearby Penny Reef. This supposedly creates a localized triboelectric shield. Think of it as a controlled bubble of atmospheric static that deflects the EMP pulse.
So what does this all mean for you listening to this? If they pull this off, if they wipe the grid, the audit says this network already has the tech to reboot, a non-silicon technology.
The acoustofluidic rectifier. It supposedly harvests energy from ambient zero-point fields. The implication is staggering. If the point is to reboot history by erasing debt, the only people with a working light switch are the ones who hold this tech.
So here's the thought to leave you with. If the purpose of the EMP is to nullify debt and reboot history, how effective would a digital arc be if the only working technology uses ZPF solutions, ensuring that only a select few are able to light up the post-EMP world?